We are live here with the Will Boys. The Will Boys are from their podcast called The Will Boys. We got Cheif and oldMIXDhead, right? Am I pronouncing that?
Yeah, it's oldMIXDhead.
oldMIXDhead. Sorry. oldMIXDhead.
Yeah. I got that name. I gave myself that name. Well, actually, I didn't give myself the name. Being in the Navy, once you pass like 30 years old, people start calling you an old head. Because you start, you see these new generation of people coming in and you start attacking them for all the crap that they're doing nowadays. Like back in my day, so, oh, you old head stuff. So, and the mix part comes from both life. So, oldMIXDhead, I just threw that in there.
And Cheif,
what's up, man?
Where'd you get the name Cheif from?
So, like, the
you
name...
sure you want to know the story of this?
No, here's the thing, man.
Strap
Why
in.
not?
No, it's not even that deep.
Okay.
Like, how I got the name Cheif is, like, stupid. Like, it's not even, like, a deep thing. Like, everything about me, like, comes off as I'm trying to be deep or I'm trying to be, like, super spiritual and stuff like that. But, like, how I got my name was stupid simple. Like, I have a friend named Stephen Collins, like, super producer, like, Grammy nominated, all types of stuff, right? When we was younger, we first started doing production, doing beats and songs and stuff like that. We were on the phone with each other, the landline phone, like the one that plugged into the wall. Like my kids have no idea what that looks like. You know what I'm saying?
Where the cord is going around the corners.
Right,
like that, yeah.
into the kitchen and up against the wall.
Yep.
So I'm talking on the phone, and we're trying to come up with some name because our whole thing back then was being extra like futuristic because we were listening to Timberland, Dr. Dre, and all that stuff. So we were real big on futuristic sounding beats and styles and stuff like that. So. My boy said, you should call yourself T Sonic, because my real name's Terry. He said, you should call yourself T Sonic. But over the phone, it crackled when he said it. So I thought he said Cheif Sonic. So I was like, yeah, Cheif Sonic, that's dope. He was like, no, I said T. I said, no, it's Cheif Sonic. So I rocked Cheif Sonic for like the whole time I was out in the streets and all that. And then like when I, gave that life up, I changed it over to Cheif Shine so I can like, light of God, that type of stuff.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's not. It wasn't like But here's the thing: like the name, I've always been put in positions of leadership, whether I wanted to be or not. So the title kind of fit too. It's kind of prophetic. Him giving me that name. So, what about you? Where'd you get your name, Greg?
Mom and dad.
The
old-fashioned ways. Keeping it real.
Yeah.
My tagline on Instagram, I have Big Curly, and I got that from.
Let me guess.
Well, I got it from my hair, but I used to have like a way bigger fro when I was younger.
Yeah.
And these kids, when I was lifeguarding, I was like a lifeguard supervisor, and it was way back in 2005 or something. And they just started calling me. They were like, you got a big fro. We're just gonna call you Big Curly. I was like, okay, whatever. So I just kept the name ever since.
Yeah, it is
what it is. What's your ethnicity, man?
Just like y'all, the mix, Hispanic, white, Native American, and who knows whatever else.
See, I say this all the time. We are the future.
Yeah, that's what I say.
We are going to be the only survivors once this race war dies out.
Oh yeah. I mean, have you seen on when Google pulls it up? Like you can go on Google what the people is going to look like by 2050.
Oh yeah, everybody's supposed to look like their eyes
like cocoa skin,
everybody's
curly hair.
Yeah.
We already had a president. We're almost there.
Yeah, almost.
Barack Obama, the first mixed president ever.
Yeah, first biracial.
People don't like to call him that.
Nobody calls him that.
No, he's the first black. No, he's not.
Yeah, he's not the first black president. Yeah.
First biracial president.
Yeah.
I'm more, and I've said this on our podcast. I am more in touch with Barack Obama than the black community. Because he's half black and half white. He's had to deal with that.
Yeah.
He's in fact, he's never addressed that whole thing during his presidency. He never called himself a black man. Never called himself a white man because he's neither, in my opinion. But yeah, it's cool that we had our president. Us mixed people had a president.
So one day, how do you feel about our current president right now?
Okay. All right. Let's just settle in.
5 minutes in, huh?
All right. Well, straight for the jugular,
Straight
right?
to the jugular.
Okay. This is okay. The best thing about podcasting is you get different people with different perspectives. We get to say we never went to college. Okay, we never studied. No, I'm not saying that like it's I'm not like giving a cautionary, like, before we say anything, I just want you to know we're stupid. This is not my disclaimer. I'm just saying we're not. Well, we kind of are, but we're not like we observe the world, right? And we just see what we see, and then we just say what we see and how we feel and what we think about it. That's the best thing about what we're doing here. So whenever I say something, whenever he says it, whenever you say something, there's always going to be somebody that challenges you. You know, well, what about this and what about that? The problem is that now there's so many people that hate Trump, they will say anything to discredit him. And then when you challenge that, you're a racist. Yeah. You're a bigot. You're a misogynist. You're a cisgendered white male, or you can whatever, and you hate women.
Check your pronouns, bro.
Yeah. It's very hard to hold a conversation with anybody. If you're for Trump, you're a Nazi. If you're against Trump, you're a libtard, or whatever, whatever you want to say. I don't like a lot of things that Trump says, but at the same time, I don't like the whole narrative that I'm supposed to follow on mainstream media. That's the big thing to say. Mainstream media, fake news, and all that. So I like, me personally, I like to sit back and just enjoy the show.
Oh yeah, that's what I personally like. I like switching the news stations, and then they have a pro-Trump channel, and then Fox News, and then all the other channels are pretty much not pro-Trump. Yeah. But I personally feel like he's the president of the United States. I don't like his antics, but I want him to succeed, because if he succeeds, we succeed as a nation.
Absolutely.
So that's my whole viewpoint.
I like his style, though.
Yeah.
I like how he's people are comparing him to like Clinton and Bush and Reagan. Like, you can't do that. He's a different breed of a human. You know what I mean? He's like, he does things differently. He was never a politician. He was never elected ever.
Yeah, he's a reality TV host.
Exactly. You cannot, well, that too, and he's also a billionaire, whatever, you know what I mean? You can't approach him and hold him to the same standard as everybody else. Hold him to the standard of a president because he is president. But personally, you can't look at him in the same light that you would look at Barack Obama. They're two different animals, you know what I mean? So
like, you're talking about like past upbringing. And
that, I mean, yeah, I mean, in terms of like being a publicly elected official, or so you can't really look at a Donald Trump the way in the same light you look at Barack Obama. Trump doesn't care, Obviously, he's the president. He has to care to a degree. To a degree, he has to have our best interests at hand. But,
or at least it has to appear that way,
right? We're kind of conspiracy theorists. He's way.
I am not.
He's way past.
I'm a reality theorist.
Yeah. That's how far we are right now. So I can't. I don't look at Trump like I would look President Trump like I would look at Barack Obama. I can't. He's just a different person. It's like if I was elected to chairperson of the city or whatever, you can't. I don't know anything about this stuff. Like, who knows why he did it? I think he did it just piss people off, and he didn't think he'd make it.
Well, a lot of people were saying it's because at the Barack Obama's last presidential dinner, he laughed at Donald Trump.
Did you see that clip?
Yeah.
So Donald Trump was invited to the White House Correspondents' Dinner. I think this was in 2014.
Yeah, I remember that.
And Barack Obama just wrecked him.
He roasted him, yeah.
He roasted him hard. Right. And Trump just sat there and took it.
Right.
2 years later, he had his job.
Who said that? Was that Bill Burr? Bill Burr said that, right?
Yeah. 2 years later, he had his job.
Right.
And everybody was saying there's never going to be a President Donald Trump.
Yeah, I saw a lot of clips.
Took his job. Yeah. Like, I like that stuff. I like that story.
So here's the thing with me, right? Like, he's some conspiracy theorist, whatnot. I don't like the label, right? I like to seek truth. I'm a Christian, but not in the sense of the label that's like the popular label of, oh, he's a Christian and everybody else is going to hell. I don't live like that. Like, I believe in the teachings of Jesus, not necessarily the teachings of churches. Some churches, but not all, right? So along with that comes a lot of things. I wasn't raised in church. Like, we didn't go to church every Sunday. I found God on my own. So when it comes to this type of stuff, and with all my research and all the stuff that I've seen and experienced and witnessed and been through, to me, I 100% believe that presidents, or at least since maybe JFK around that time, are selected, not elected, right? So what I believe is that they pick people to be mouthpieces.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And that the actual president himself, the person, Donald Trump, Barack, the Bushes, Clinton, so on and so forth, do not actually have any actual power. And it was funny that they actually made that a thing. What was that, Iron Man?
For what?
Remember they had the terrorist on Iron Man? I think it was like three.
Yeah, they made up fake terrorist.
Right.
Yeah.
So I believe they actually do that with the presidents. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever the presidents did before and after is who they really are. And what they do during the presidency, to me, in my heart, and in Trump, Spicer, whatever. You know, so that's how it is to me. So here's my thing. So now, whenever I have these conversations about politics or whatnot, I can still have the conversation because I have to sit back and throw on a pretend hat. And I have to pretend that people voted and it mattered. Now, I'm not saying people didn't vote. What I'm saying is that people put their votes in, but I believe the government uses them as census just to see what people want to. I'm not going to go too deep into that rabbit hole, right? All I was saying, I had to put that down there so your listeners can understand what I'm trying to say. So to me, I'm torn because I personally don't like what he stands for, and if I was to be wearing my American hat, I would say exactly what you said. Like, I would want him to be successful because ultimately it means success for the American people, right? However, I don't believe in that. So to me, I'm torn because I don't like, if that was real to me, if in my mind, if that was real, I wouldn't like how he is and what he stands for and stuff like that. However, as a character, I think he's freaking hilarious. Like, even Obama, like, a lot of people don't like a lot of stuff he did and whatever this and this. But as a character, he was cool.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he would go sing, he would dance on Ellen, he was kind of goofy, you know, smoked in the White House. Like, the dude was freaking hilarious to me. Like, he's cool. But, like, Donald Trump is, like, comic relief. You know what I'm saying? He's kind of like comic relief to me. And go ahead.
Nah, he's like Obama was like the settle comic relief.
Right.
Donald Trump is just like not
it's in your face,
just doesn't care.
He's like the carrot top.
It's like
Barack Obama.
It's like going from Chris Rock to like
Sam Kinison.
Like Andrew Dice.
That's a pretty good comparison. Yeah,
it's like going from Chris Rock to Donald Trump.
Yeah, we got Dice in that White House now.
Yeah.
Andrew Dice Clay.
Man, that's hilarious.
I think it's an entertaining show. I like watching it. Do you ever watch those people getting interviewed at the marches? Like the March for Our Lives and the abortion and women's health care?
Not very often.
You gotta watch them, man.
Why? What do they say?
Destroying them. Well, I mean, okay. When the interviewer is impartial, and you get a sense that they're impartial, they're not trying, like InfoWars, they have people go out there. They have Owen Schroyer go out there and interview people, but Owen Schroyer is very smart. And he has I want to say he has an agenda, but he definitely has a side he's picked, right? So when people go talk to him, he kind of attacks them in a way. He's not trying to destroy people, but when people say crazy things, he attacks them, like he jumps on them. But people like, you know, Fleckis Talks and Nuance Bro, they go out there and they interview people and they ask them simple questions like, do you support Trump? No, never. I'll never support Trump. What do you not like about Trump? Just his rhetoric and his policies, and he's a racist and he's a Nazi. What has he said that's racist? Just listen to him. Like, what specifically does he say? Have you ever heard him? Well, can you tell me what he says? I mean, the things he says about Mexicans. What does he say about Mexicans? That they're murderers and rapists. When did he say that? Come on. You know, they can never establish what they're talking about, and it's horrible for that side, the liberals, the right, the left side.
It goes both ways, man.
No, it does. But that's the best thing about these videos is that they talk to the Trump people, and the Trump people are just as bad,
right?
But they just don't show it as often. You know what I mean?
I see a lot of videos where, like you were saying, they'll go out and actually, there's one video I saw. They'll go out and talk to. They'll be like a bunch of Trump supporters, right? And they'll go talk to the Trump supporters, and they'll be like, tell me if you agree with this policy that Trump has. And then they'll read off something Hillary says. or they'll read off something Obama said, or no, Hitler. That was the one I seen. They was reading Hitler quotes. And he was like, every man for himself, some zeitgeist or something, right? And they're like, Trump said that?
Sharia law and all
gotta be good. So so they're like completely agreeing with it. So like my beef with the American people are the ones that don't actually have any research, and they're headline warriors. They read the headline, and that's what they say when they argue. They don't have any actual meat. They just have the smell. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think that's one of the problems with our nation. It's just everyone just goes off of headlines, and then the people who are making the headlines are just making the headlines just to get a click to get to their audience. Get to their article.
Clickbait.
Bottom dollar. I mean, the bottom dollar is really all the media cares about. It's not about being. Denzel Washington said this, and I think it was perfect. He said it's not about being true anymore. It's about being first. It's about just who cares if it's true, just get it out there. And that is like that is exactly what's going on. CNN, MSNBC, I shouldn't be saying this, I'll probably get sniped walking out of your house, but they don't care anymore. They just want the main people that were upset were the teenagers, the millennials, things like that, and they want to appeal to that audience. So they have to be anti-Trump. They're anti-Trump from the beginning. But realize nobody hated Trump until he started running for presidency. Yeah. Nobody cared about Trump. You know, a billionaire, great job. Oh, I'm running for president. Trump, he said a grabber by the you-know-what, and we have to tear him down, and he's like Nazi Germany, and the kids are being separated from their parents. That happened years ago. Yeah. That happened when Obama was president, when Clinton was president, when Bush was president.
Obama's immigration policy is
very strict.
Actually more aggressive than Donald Trump's.
Absolutely. I got into a couple of Facebook arguments. Not really arguments, just I don't know, Facebook debates. Just debating, I guess. I mean, I don't subscribe to Facebook beefs. I think that's just ridiculous. But we're kind of going back and forth, and my main point was, look, this has been going on for years. Donald Trump is just enforcing it. And well, you shouldn't do that. And then Trump repealed it, or he put an executive order to stop parents from being separated from kids, which is what the Democrats wanted during, I think it was Obama, or I think it was during Obama. Like, they used to separate people all the time. Or no, they kept them together. Sorry, they kept them together. I think in 2012 or 13, the Democrats said no. Kids cannot be confined with the parents in a detention center or jail, basically. So the Democrats pushed to have the kids separated from the parents. Now they're upset about it. The Democrats, it's so mean, it's Nazi Germany, it's Hitler.
But it was their policy.
What's that?
But it was their policy.
It was their policy, but people don't read. People don't care. Like, they don't want to know facts. They just go off of feelings.
They're headline warriors, man.
Right, they're headlining it. So they redressed the argument. They put a new hat on it, put a new tie, put a new suit,
exactly,
and blamed it on Trump.
Well, that's exactly what I've been saying. Like, left wing, right wing, it's the same bird. You know what I'm saying? Like, they both get fed from the same mouth. Yeah. So it just, if you look in the mirror and put your right hand up, it looks like you're looking at the left hand. It's still your right hand. So they both do the same thing to me. So when I start digging into that, it makes it easier for me to step away, you know, because just so much, man, just so much. You know what I'm saying? Like, every day,
a lot to take in.
Every day, I gotta read a tweet from the president every day.
I love reading stuff that he puts out. Say, yeah, good job on that. Not really, or something, whatever he says. Like, it's awesome.
But that's my point too. Like, on the political side, it's too much. But as entertainment, it's perfect. Yeah, it's perfect. It's every comedian's dream. You know what I'm saying? It's every Democrat's dream. It's every Republican's dream on the cool. It's every Democrat's dream villain to go against, right? It's every Republican's dream, you know, heroin. What's it called? Heroin. As in hero?
Sure.
So they have someone that stands up, say whatever he wants, and all that. Now that's cool, you know what I'm saying? And he went over and met with Kim Jong-un over there. You know, that was kind of cool, right?
Yeah, it was good in terms of relations, I guess. What they were talking about, however, I don't know. Yeah. So hopefully it was all good.
Some people said that they already made all the deals over the phone, and just the summit was just for paparazzi.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Photo op. Yeah.
Well, I'm not gonna get it on my mind. Yeah, but yeah, man. Bottom line with Trump and the whole presidency and all that stuff, man. Like, I mean, you got to pay attention so that you understand how it affects you. But you shouldn't. Me personally, I believe people shouldn't buy into it as an end all. What's it called?
End all be all.
Yeah, it's not. Then it's not all there is in this world. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm torn because I love the fact that I was born in this country, but I'm not necessarily like super excited about how they're running it. You know what I'm saying? Or how they have been running it. Make America great again. It's never actually been great. It's only just been perceived to be better than other countries. And I can only say that but I've never actually been in any other countries.
Even when you were on tour?
I mean, yeah, but like, you're not you're not walking
among the people.
Yeah, I'm not walking through the food market or nothing in Iraq. You know, we did, but we were all, armied up, But I've never been in that, like, Europe or, Canada or Switzerland. I've never been any other place other than America as far as like walking around freely. So I don't know what it's like to be in other countries. I just know what I see and what I hear and whatnot. But if you look at statistics and deaths, you look at violent stuff, you look at for being, half black or African American, like the arrest rates are crazy. Our education system's crap, So other countries have us beating all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So what are we actually basing that America is number one on?
That we have business.
We're basing it on the fact that we can beat up everybody else.
Yeah.
That's it.
So far,
right? But I think...
I don't know, man. Russia's pretty...
Well, I believe we're, America was
pretty strong,
chosen to do all that stuff. But anyway, what do you feel about... how they're trying to put Trump out there like, I mean, have you heard like conspiracy theories like he's Antichrist?
No, I
they said that about Obama too.
New.
They said about Obama was Antichrist.
That about a lot of people.
Every president since George W. They've said we're the Antichrist.
See, I kind of have like the same thought that you have about the president just being a placeholder, because I think sometimes the president is just a public figure, nothing more than just a puppet for the Senate and corporations to deal with. Other than that, president just, I can launch nukes if I want to. Other than that, he can sign bills into law right away, but then the Senate and judicial branches can effectively shut those down if they get enough votes or find that it's unjustful.
Talking about like an executive order?
Executive order.
I didn't think can they do that?
The judicial branch can.
Oh, I thought executive order was like final, like done deal.
No, the judicial branch, which is if you remember his immigration policies that he tried to pass, like he took
the travel ban.
The travel ban, like it took a number of rewording the order. Right. So, but it was due to judges from around the countries. That's the beauty of being United States, is that the states have their own say into what goes on in the federal government policy.
Okay. Well,
so if one judge says that this is unjust due to this and this, because it's stated this in our U.S. Constitution, our Bill of Rights, and then that automatically makes it like unjust, unconstitutional to have that executive order out there.
Yeah, you know what's great about the Constitution? People like to make the argument that about the whole immigration deal. Like they say, well, why is this so bad? Then we say, well, it's against the law. You can't illegally immigrate here. Well, just because it's a law doesn't make it okay. Slavery was, a part of the law. Here's the problem. In the United States, slavery is not in the Constitution.
No, it's not.
So that's why it was outlawed, because it's unconstitutional. So the people that did make slavery a law weren't following the Constitution. That's what drove it to be abolished.
Where doesn't it say somewhere about black men being like 3/4 of a person?
That's Jim Crow.
That's Jim Crow laws. Yeah. That's not the Constitution.
No, that's Jim Crow. There's no distinction in the Constitution of race.
It just says
race
man.
or gender. It says man, but it
just means human.
mankind.
Yeah, mankind.
Or Americans.
I'll tell you what, man.
American mankind.
They wrote that script up really good because, you know, for the most part, man, like all of that stuff makes sense and it sounds good, and I've listened to it and I've prayed to the flag every morning at school for 12 years. I pledge allegiance to the flag. I mean, that's creepy. Like, no one ever thinks about that, but that's kind of creepy. Like we're like, you know, pledging to the flag and everything. Like to me, I said that America is a god, the flag is the savior, and the Constitution are the commandments.
Wow.
Yeah, because you know we like in Christianity, you pray to your Savior, who has stripes on his back.
Yeah,
that's what they say. Jesus has stripes on his back from, you know, getting whooped by Roman soldiers or whatnot. So that's pretty much the American flag. Like the flag was still there, you know, beat up, tattered, and everything, and stood. So we sit there and we pledge allegiance to this piece of cloth every day, not necessarily even like the American system or whatever. We just pray to a flag every morning. So all that being said, man, like I've completely like unplugged myself from that, like the Matrix, and like and it's not to talk bad about anybody else who believes that. Like there's millions of people who think I'm crazy, you know. That's fine. Like I'm not out here to like change anybody's mind, but one of the, like you were saying, like he's a placeholder, and it makes more sense to me. Put it like this. Say for 20 years, you were in charge of a business, right? And every 4 years, you had to have a new manager. But you were still there the whole time. How many presidents do you think you would go through before you decided, all right, we got to get somebody in here that's going to listen to what I say, because I've been here longer, I know what's going to happen. So in my mind, what sense does it make for a whole country to be ran by different people every 4 years successfully? Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to say, like, even if you did that at Burger King, something would change. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why if you go to Burger King if you go to Burger King on Walsall this year, it's ran one way, and you go next year and it's ghetto as hell.
Well, here's
they keep changing the managers. You know what I'm saying?
I actually agree with the fact that we have the opportunity to have different presidents every 4 years, because I mean, then we would be like, was it England? Is it England or London? What's the country's England, right?
England.
Okay, so we'd be like Great Britain, where you have that king and you have the royal family. It's one perspective for all time. You know what I mean? Well, it's one set. It's one belief set.
In the United Kingdom, the crown has set aside government.
Yeah, they have the parliament.
Yeah,
right?
The parliament does all the. I'm
just saying in terms of like kingdoms and things like that. When you have one royal bloodline, they're ruled forever by this one family and their perspective. Now, granted, the son can have different ideas and policies and ideologies as the king, and things could change. But when you have like the Democrat, Republican, or Libertarian, which never makes president, you have the opportunity to put your representative in the highest seat. You know what I mean? So I agree with the fact, because imagine if we were always.
I agree with the idea of it.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Imagine if every president was a Democrat.
Here's a hard part. Here's a hard part for me. Like I don't know, like the Democratic policies, Republican. Well, I just found out that left wing means Democrat.
And right wing means left wing is really liberal, and then right wing is conservative.
Yeah.
See,
but here's the funny thing. How I look at liberals and conservative, I see them as the same party, just with different objectives.
A wide spectrum of
Because when you take two separate issues, you take, for instance, abortion and gun rights. They're both liberal and both conservative on those subjects.
Yeah.
I mean, on gun rights, they want to be. This is the sticky situation. They want to be more liberal about gun rights. They want to have less the conservatives.
They're liberal about. Oh, okay, I guess.
Yeah, they want to be more liberal with gun rights, like less enforcing, less
governing over
less governing
rights,
of who gets guns and how they get them. And liberals want to basically control. They want to put as many
more, right?
As many government restrictions as they can. Where it comes as abortion, liberals want to get they want to get rid of that.
Conservatives are very conservative.
They want to get less government involved. Let corporate take care of abortion.
Well, liberals actually want government to be more involved and pay for all of it. They want the government to financially support abortion clinics and things like that. And conservatives, they just want to shut it down.
Yeah, they want to shut it down because it infringes on religious viewpoints.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's another thing that I really don't like, because I thought that was the whole reason this country was founded was because they wanted to separate religious views from government views.
Ooh, you said funded. That was even better. This country was funded.
Well,
founded.
It was funded, son.
Founded.
Well, I think the whole abortion argument, and we had an episode on abortion.
Not a popular episode.
Yeah, it was heard.
It was hard,
but it was difficult. Like, because what we normally do when we do our podcast, in this little segue, but we come up with a topic, we do some research, and then we go. With this one, we just went. I said, let's talk about abortion, because it's like a thing now, and we just went. Like, he just said what he thought, I said what I thought, and we went on for, I think, for an hour and 20 minutes or something like that.
You know why it took so long? All the tap dancing around.
Yeah, it's a sensitive, because if you say you're for abortion, you now have enemies. If you say you're against it, abortion, you now have enemies. If you stay in the middle, you have enemies, because they want you to pick a side.
Right.
It's very difficult, and I normally don't care about that, but this is like one of those, subjects. It's one of those.
A lot of gray areas.
You lose friends. You lose. People start following you on Facebook. People start, getting your address and your email and your phone number, and and we didn't want any of that, so we did a lot of tap dancing on that episode, and it's not a good thing. But what was I saying?
About what?
Before I went into the whole
something about Kentucky Fried Chicken. After we leave here.
No, just before you were saying that abortion that y'all were tapping around, and then
so with conservatives, or we're talking about liberals wanting the government to fund it.
Yes.
So when it's mostly from what I see. All right, it's women say it's our body, Are
we talking about abortion right now?
We're touching on it.
Okay.
We're ice skating a little bit on thin water, or thin ice. Sorry, not thin water. We're skating on thin ice on this abortion topic.
We'll skate a little bit and then we'll head on.
Yeah, we'll go to deeper, thicker ice. When the liberals and the right wingers or left wingers, when they talk about abortion and things such like that, Planned Parenthood, let's just say Planned Parenthood, because it's more than just abortion with Planned Parenthood, to be fair and honest. They want the government to fund it, and that's what was shut down recently with Trump, I believe. They said the government no longer funds Planned Parenthood. And you were saying about the whole religious aspect, that's why we left Great Britain rule and things like that, for religious freedom
and taxes and all that.
Right, and we don't have to pay taxation without representation, things like that. So, I think that the main core of what was done then was to give us the freedom to do it. Not necessarily we have to be Catholic, Roman Catholic, like Great Britain. So, if the president chose to be Catholic, that's his right, his or her right. If somebody chose to be Muslim, that's his or her right. Somebody chose, whatever. So it's not necessarily that. I mean, religion and state is different. Like that was just but that was implemented to prevent what was going on in Great Britain. The problem is that this is just my opinion, is that morality is the spectrum is so wide for morality now. What's right, what's wrong, what dictates what's right, what's wrong. Nobody knows anymore.
That's why you got to check your moral compass, people.
Moral compass is a big deal on our show.
Moral compass, that's my
moral compass shirt coming out soon.
As long as you're not hurting anybody, I think you're doing right.
Well, what's hurting? You have to ask that question.
I know.
What hurts you might not hurt me, and what hurts me might not hurt you.
This is why I talk about the moral compass so much on the show, because there's a lot of people that believe Hitler was good. You know what I'm saying? And they didn't believe Jews were actual people. And that's what they really believed. And they believed what they did wasn't hurting anybody because those people weren't people. Same with black people. When they enslaved black people, they didn't see them as actual people. They saw them as
basically all slaves ever in the history of the world.
Right. Right. So to me, where are you basing your right and your wrong from?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's what it comes down to. And then, because if you're basing it off of your own beliefs, then you are your own God in your mind, which is ridiculous if you think about it, because you didn't make yourself or anything else.
For sure.
You know, so that's when it gets touchy for me, when people are like, you know, if you do good, you don't, you know, you do your own thing. And I get it. I'm not like one of those dudes that are like, no, you have to believe in God. You have to
no dancing.
Yeah, no
it's
dancing.
Illegal.
Cover your women up, you know. And here's the thing too, like, people see me wearing this thing on my head, right? And they say, oh, you look Muslim. Muslim men don't wear this. You know what I'm saying? But that's just because the ignorance. They don't, you know, it's not like they're dumb people. I'm just saying ignorant as in not knowing.
Yeah.
You know, or
lack of knowledge.
Right, lack of knowledge. Now, the only person who like kind of like got what this was a dude from Israel that I met one time at the hospital. He was like, "Where are you from?" I was like, "Northeast side." He was like, "Okay, where you wearing that for?" I was like, "It's just I just like wearing it. I like to make people think when they see me. They see this, they think Muslim, and they see a cross on my face or on my chest, and they're like, "Wait a minute." Wait a minute.
I'm gonna ask this guy a couple questions.
But you know, the way when y'all are talking about America and how it's set up and how it's supposed to be and this, like all that's cool, and they wanted it to be this way, and you can be this, and if you're Muslim, like you said, you could be Muslim. If you're Roman Catholic, you could be this. But what you can't be is Native American. Like off top from the beginning of
what?
Yeah, you couldn't be Native American when America first started. When they're trying to make it where
not when America first started. It's when America started expanding westward.
Right.
It's when they started putting suppression on the Native American and basically forcing them to move even westward,
right,
which was causing even more conflict because there was already Native American tribes there,
right,
and then just causing a whole mess.
Yeah. They basically made them fight each other, and then they killed off the winners.
That was pretty horrible.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is that I get it where we're at now. If I just woke up yesterday, or like if I just woke up in 1982, like when I was born, and then looked around and was like, oh, land of the free, home of the brave, and everything that they tell us and all that, you know. But the thing is, there's thousands of topics and subjects to learn in this world, but they only teach us like 5 or 6 at school.
Oh yeah.
So then it makes you think like, okay, and then you start learning more and more history. And now we're in the age of information. We got access to Google, Yahoo, and all these other, you know.
Yahoo. You said Yahoo.
We have access to AOL. And,
AOL.
we have access to Bing. And
Netscape. It's open.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we have access to all these information, and we start learning more and more about how the history was way worse than what they told us. We spent like a week on slavery at school. You know?
I didn't know there were white slaves till I was like a teenager.
Right. I
never knew anything about white slavery, like serfs in England or European countries and things. I knew nothing about it.
Yeah, man. So
I knew about American slaves.
Yeah.
Well, even the Mongolians having
every nation had years of slavery. Every nation that was ever built.
Africans, like that's
Africans enslaved other Africans. Like people don't like talking about that, but I mean, who built the pyramids? The king didn't build it.
Yeah, that's true.
He hired somebody to plan it, and then they had the slaves build it. So I mean,
well, that's a whole different thing. I mean, just just to finish off, they're starting to say like they weren't slaves that built the pyramids because of the craftsmanship that it took to build that. It wouldn't repress people building something of that grand. They don't think it would have been possible to be.
I think you put a whip to somebody's back, they can build anything.
Not the first year.
I'm sure the couple.
I'm sure after about 100 years they got it.
Well, I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying? The research that they're saying, just social development. If it takes 30, 40 years to build something that grand, repressed people will sabotage it over time.
I'll say this: maybe they didn't build it. And but they definitely moved the stuff to that area. Yeah. So the constructor didn't.
Who knows? That's the big thing.
Exactly.
You're getting to aliens, aren't you?
What?
You're talking about aliens?
No, I'm not talking about them. I'm just talking about maybe an ancient civilization that was here that's technology. No longer here. Yeah. I mean, I could tell you a crazy story about what I've learned in school. Because I studied geology in school. And
you said theology?
Geology.
Okay.
The study of the earth.
Yeah.
And so the crazy thing I learned is that Precambrian, which is 80% of our geological history. Once you take that out, so the Earth is 4.5 billion years old. You take that out, you take out that Precambrian history, that only leaves 1.5 billion years. The rest of that, we have no idea what happened. I mean, we have rocks.
Well, the Great Flood.
Yes, no.
I said
who
that
knows?
to poke at Cheif because I wanted to hear him say something.
I'm letting him talk.
No, that's a good point. I mean,
man.
but when you look at the geological history, there was once upon a time where the Earth was covered in ice.
Yeah, Ice Age.
And after all that ice melted, there was a Great Flood. There had to be, because that ice had to go somewhere.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's the crazy thing. That's why I get on ancient advanced civilizations, because the thing about glaciers, they're so strong and powerful that when they're a mile, 2 miles thick, that can pulverize the landscape and just wipe it clean.
Do you believe in Pangea?
Yes.
Do you believe the Earth is flat?
No.
Okay.
Do you believe in aliens?
I'm not saying this. I'm not saying you're right or wrong. I'm just
or spiritual, like extraterrestrial beings.
I believe there's a different life form out there. I don't know if to create life. I mean, you go to the bottom of the earth, to the depths of the ocean, and you'll find life where there is zero sunlight.
Right.
So underneath those ice caps on Jupiter's moons, who knows? I mean, you got heat, you got water. That's all you need to make life.
Is that Kingdom Hearts?
No, that's yes. Well, it's Cloud. But it's Final Fantasy VII. It's just
it's a mixture of Van Gogh
and a depiction of basically the cover of the game.
Gotcha.
And that's Midgar, and then he's just standing on a hill looking down at Midgar.
Yeah, see, I saw this on your videos prior to, and I just wanted to ask about it.
Yeah, I'm drawn to it. I've been looking at it this whole time.
This was pretty cool. Who did you buy this, or did you make it?
Someone made it for me. Someone close to me, and I asked them to do it. And they did it for me. They were very skeptical at first because they don't think they're very good, but I think it's pretty good.
No, most artists don't. Most artists in any form of art think they're horrible.
Well, even when it comes to like our very own podcast, like,
absolutely,
you go over and you're like, oh, I did that wrong. I did this wrong. The sound.
That's when, especially with like music, we're deep into music as well, or used to be. We'd like to get into it more. Whenever I hear something that I did before, I'm like, man, this is horrible. I need to, it has to be better. I should have done this, should have done that. And that's when you know that you're going after something that is deep inside. If, like I said, if he drew that and said, it's good enough, and had no attachment to it afterwards, then you'd probably do something else. You know,
it was a she.
Oh, see.
Yeah, I'm sexist, misogynist,
sexist, cisgendered, mixed male.
No. You don't have to. As I heard one professor say, he will not adjust his way of speaking to people because they want him to.
Are you talking about Jordan Peterson?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, you're good.
Oh yeah.
You
I'm
read
on top
up.
Of this stuff.
You read up.
I like him. he said I will not change my vocabulary. He said, well, what happens, because he's in Canada, and for those that don't know, in Canada you can go to jail for not saying somebody's pronoun that they choose.
I would just stop talking to people.
No, so what he said,
have flashcards.
What he said is he doesn't subscribe to that ideology. So the host asked him, so what happens if they, if the police come after? So look, if they give me a fine, I will not pay it. If they send me to jail, I will go on a hunger strike. Said, I will not do this. He said, I'm not doing it. And I was like, man, I like this guy.
And then he said it because it's an infringement on his freedom of speech.
Well, the thing is, in Canada, they don't have a freedom of speech. They have rights to speak, but at any time, the government can say, you can't say that. And they're doing that right now. You cannot what is the word? You can't say somebody's pronoun that they don't like. You have to abide by everybody's individual pronouns. And he said, I'm not doing that. But unfortunately, they don't have a constitution. They don't have the First Amendments, If
they want me to do that, then all the people with different pronouns need to get it tattooed on their forehead.
Well, no, but this is how it is. You say, like, if we're talking to him, right? And we say, hey, man, how's it going? So actually, I identify as a walnut. Like, you're a walnut? Yes. Okay, well, what's going on, dude? He's like, no, I'm a walnut. You have to call me a walnut. And once he tells us, you have to follow that pronoun.
So before then, you're okay.
Yeah, if it's in the beginning and you don't know somebody, then they inform you or educate you.
If you want to be that nice, you don't have to be that nice.
Yeah.
Have y'all seen the videos of the transgender person in high school who is running female track?
Oh yeah,
but was born a dude.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I don't think
like smashing, like winning by a lot.
There's an actual transgender
I've seen a
female that is a wrestler now.
Yeah.
Born a man. Is a wrestler.
Undefeated.
Undefeated. Just wrecking every girl.
A weightlifter, UFC.
Well, to be fair, the UFC MMA transgender fighter has been losing. So it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be dominant, because in any contact sport, you still have to be good. It doesn't matter if you're male or female.
Yeah, you still got to have the skill set. You got to have the technique. If you don't have the technique.
Right. If your skill set matches your opponent, let's say the transgender woman, born a male, now is going against a born female, you know, God, what? It's so difficult talking like this. If the born male, now woman fighter faces is the same skill level as the opponent,
sex battles on TV since forever. Ever.
Right. Well, Andy Kaufman did, but those were rigged.
It's Andy Kaufman.
Yeah.
It's Andy Kaufman, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So that was interesting. No, but the whole the track star that's just destroying these females. It's destroying the females' chances of going to college, of getting scholarships, of all these things. It's like imagine if we took the argument and flipped it to race. What's that woman who I forgot her name? She was white.
Yeah, the one that worked in NAACP, right?
Yeah, the white woman, Sandra Byrne. Anyway, she was white, and then she kinked her hair, and she portrayed a black woman for years, and she still considers herself black. That was heavily scrutinized, like how you can't be, you know, blah 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 blah. Why not? Like, why is it okay for a woman to say they're a man and a man to say they're a woman? Biologically they're not, but it's not okay for a white person to say they're black. Because now if you're a black person, now you get affirmative action, now you get black school, whatever, like you just get different benefits that other races don't get. And you notice that nobody's saying that they're Asian.
Well, it's the same thing. I know what you mean, because I have a Hispanic last name, so I took advantage of all those Hispanic scholarships. I applied as many as I could, and I got some to help me with school. But I mean,
but you are though.
I am.
If you were full white and you said you're Hispanic, that's different.
Yeah, that's different.
But
which she. I mean, was there any evidence that she had any?
No, she's white. She was Becky. Like, I seen some of the before pictures. And like, here's the thing, man. Like,
what was her name?
I don't know why they gave her so much crap, because, and this may sound
Sandra Bland. No, I'm sorry.
Sandra Bullock.
No, I was gonna say Sandra Bland, but that's not her.
No, that's the wrong one. I don't even think it's Sandra. I think it's like someone that asks like Sophie or something like that. What was I talking about?
I don't know.
It doesn't.
I was thinking of her name.
The earth is flat. What were we saying? Oh, no. Like, it's just gonna sound one-sided, but like, not a lot of white people. I mean, there are a lot of white people trying to, you know, portray the image of what they call black, whatever, you know. But like, I don't think she got anything extra from it. Like, she worked for the black people. She worked at the NAACP. That's more than like my homeboys do, and they're actually black people.
Rachel
Dozier.
Rachel Dolezal.
Yeah, Dolezal.
Dozier.
Gozer.
Yeah, Rachel.
Yeah, good old Rachel.
Yeah, but see, you know, personally, man, like, we were talking about this earlier about like eventually all races are gonna be just one, whatever. You know, but we know what I heard it somewhere, and I've been repeating it ever since, that we're not human having spiritual experiences. We're spirits having human experience. So at the end of the day, all of this is gonna fall off of us, and like who you really are is what's really gonna be there. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And you know, me and my brother, we've dealt with racial stuff our whole lives. Like we still deal with it inside of the family. Like there's maybe a handful of the white people in our family that even deals with us. Like one's my mom, you know, my little sister Sabrina, my aunt, and then like and her kids. But other than that, none of them do. None of them. Our whole family, bro. Like nobody deals with us at all. I mean, I don't know the history or whatever, but like just our whole life, we've never been around our own family for white people. We've always been around white people. There's white people everywhere. Like especially in the schools we were going to, there weren't a lot of minorities in some of the schools we went to, and some of the schools wasn't a lot of white people. Like we were at like
West Avenue
on that side, like Nimitz, and so dealing with that, you know, and going back and forth with trying to figure out like our identities and all that type of stuff, that ultimately is what caused me to keep pushing and looking for more and more truth, because we all have a million questions, you know what I'm saying? And that's why I have the beliefs I believe, because I believe that's where I get all my answers from. And, you know, school and all that stuff is cool. Like, you know, I tell my kids, like, you have to, you know, learn what they're teaching you and some of the stuff in school, but don't take everything in school for like literal, like don't take it all as
set in stone.
Yeah, set in stone, because then you'll end up coming out and being the people who you have to be Republican, you have to be a Democrat, you have to vote, you have to, you know, go to the parties, you got to protest, you got to. And look, I get it, man. If you want to voice your opinion on all that stuff, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
You know,
that's the most important part, is knowing what you're talking about.
Do your research.
We said this earlier, how people just they watch CNN for 10 minutes and then they go out and protest. And you don't even know what you're talking about.
Headline warriors.
You saw the photos of the kids in the cages. Turns out it was from like 2014 when Barack Obama was president. You didn't hear about that? Somebody important posted up video, said it was two kids sleeping on the floor behind a fence, and it looked like it was an encaged area. Posted up, said this is what beginning of Nazi Germany looks like, and this is straight from Trump's detention centers or camps or whatever they got on the border. Turns out that exact picture was from 2012 or 13 or 14. Under Barack Obama's administration. As soon as I was found out, and this was being shared throughout all of the liberal media, you know, as soon as it was found out it's from Barack Obama, it got taken down, like deleted.
Wow.
And the only explanation was found out the picture was from the time that I said, and that's all they said. They didn't say that I found out this was under Barack Obama's administration. No, they said, I found out it wasn't real. Took it off. So, and
then people just pass it up and just go about their day.
Yeah.
You know, like that's what bothers me, is that there'll be stuff like that going on, and then as soon as someone gets, here's the thing, as soon as someone gets proven wrong, you should reevaluate your stance. If you get punched in the face, you should reevaluate what's going on, not just be like, I didn't get punched in the face.
That never happened.
That never happened.
I think, honestly, the people who don't reevaluate themselves have never been punched in the face.
Yeah.
When you've been punched in the face, it makes you rethink about what did you do to get punched in the face.
Remember Bill Burr said? So sometimes I get blasted in the face, and on the drive home, thinking, you know what, I was kind of being a dick back there.
Nobody does that, man. They'll just bury the post. They'll just erase the post that they made. They'll make
carry on with their agenda
and carry on with their own agenda,
their narrative,
even if they're wrong. You know what I'm saying? Which is proof to me that the whole system, the way it's set up to pit us against each other, man.
How do you feel about celebrities getting involved in this? Athletes,
like nominating,
actors.
like the ones that are standing up for like the president or standing up for Hillary, or what do you mean?
Just the celebrities get involved. Like 90% of celebrities are against Trump. Like De Niro, Meryl Streep, Oprah Winfrey.
I mean, to be honest, they're just people in my eyes. They're just people with their own viewpoints, and if people want to follow them, people want to go off of a celebrity because they like them, and they can't decide on who they want to like because they can't decide for themselves. I mean, that's their choice.
Yeah.
To me, celebrities are just people. They're just another person just living this life. They just have a career that puts them in the spotlight a lot more.
The downfall I see to celebrities and people being fans, or which is short for fanatics, is that they tend to take the word as gospel. Like when what's her face? When
Rachel Dolezal.
Who?
Rachel.
Rachel Dolezal is not a celebrity. She is now irrelevant, but she was a celebrity. But
okay, perfect example. Kawhi's camp. Kawhi's a celebrity here.
Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
What about him?
Yeah. His camp.
Yeah.
Speaks all this gossip, and people believe it.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, everyone says that he wants to leave. Haven't heard a single word from the man himself.
Right.
I mean, supposedly they say he said something, but he hasn't come out on Twitter
Publicly, yeah. So did he really say it? Is the question.
That's the thing. And people take it for they take it verbatim, like he did say it.
Right.
Like he wants this done. I mean, same thing with celebrities at a higher standard in Hollywood.
Well, when they're on like award shows like the Oscars or the Grammys or whatever, and they are publicly like on their microphone saying F Trump and like that Madonna at the Women's March saying she wants to blow up the White House. Do you think
that's wrong? I honestly believe.
Do you think that celebrities, with the platform that they have and the amount of fans that they have, do you think they have a responsibility to be more careful about what they say, or do they have the same rights as it? Well, they have the same rights, but do you think they should be held a little more cautious as to what they say?
They should. I don't necessarily believe cautious. I believe they should be more open to debates, not just one-sided idea. I think they should say, look, this is what I believe, but the other side makes this very good point, so on. But I still stand on my firm belief.
I agree with that. I don't like when celebrities
bash.
Yeah, I don't like when they bash, and then when they get bashed, they cry and they're victims. But then when they do it to somebody else, it's like, you go ahead. You know, I don't look at celebrities or like athletes, actors, whatever. You know, I don't like when they have a following that's pushing a narrative or pushing a thing like Beyonce and Jay-Z with Black Lives Matter, or Meryl Streep and Madonna with the Women's March thing. Like, yes, you have a right to protest. Everybody does. Or Kaepernick with the football thing. Like, you have that right to protest. When you get challenged on it, you have no right to try to destroy somebody's career just because they challenge you. Like, I literally want to know why you're doing what you're doing. And if you're saying that me asking is I'm part of the problem and I'm part of the patriarchy and all that crap, that's why I back away from that whole thing. Like, 'cause you guys are just one-sided. You have nothing's going to change. And we had a podcast talking about protesting. Like, is it pointless or is it useful? Nothing's really changed with all these protests. Yeah, the executive order happened, but what happened really? Nothing.
No.
You know, so
it depends on the protest, and it depends if that protest catches wave. Like,
well, yeah, we brought
everything goes on waves. If it just,
it's a spark in the moment. Like, we brought up the 13-month march, the bus boycott in Alabama in the 30s or the 60s. So in the 60s, it lasted 13 months. What protest is going to last 13 months these days? It has to be now. The gun. Who's talking about the gun ban anymore? Nobody. What's that kid's name?
Which one?
The kid that was
Macaulay Culkin.
No, the kid that was put in front of the whole Florida school shooting thing.
Oh, I don't know his name, but I know you're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, where's he at now? Nobody cares.
Nobody cares
because it was one of those. You know, let's make a big deal, big commotion, separate, divide. What's next? Immigrants. Well, first it was like Muslims, then it was Vegas shooting, then school shootings, then it was immigration,
club
then
shootings.
It was women's marches, and then club shootings, and it's like, just keep it going. Like, just throw something else at them. Let's get them divided.
They don't give us enough time to calculate what's going on.
I mean,
like if you get hit with a left, you're trying to like calculate. Okay, I just got hit with a left, and you get hit with a right. You're not even thinking about the left no more, because you just got hit with that right hook, and now you're like, wait, hold on, I'm getting hit I got hit in the stomach. Oh shoot, oh, they touching kids. Oh no, you know. So now you can hit from all these different angles, and instead of having to process it or to have a thought on it, you just kind of start becoming desensitized to it.
See, and that I have a belief in my head is that when major world events are going on, like World Cup or even something that's distracting
Playoffs.
a country,
Super Bowl.
I feel like the governments are doing something behind the table, underneath the table, behind closed doors, without us knowing, because the nations are distracted, and it's a perfect time in my head. If I want to be,
if you're ever gonna do it,
that's the perfect
It's just,
time.
it's just sleight of hand. That's all it is. You're looking over here, and then they're,
Yeah, exactly.
This was a stabbing motion, by the way. It came off.
It came off as something.
My
else.
arm got stuck on the chair. I was like, they're over here. I meant to be like this.
yeah, okay. You're over here just stabbing each other.
Stabbing it up.
Y'all said y'all wanted to start this podcast. What is y'all's plans or visions for y'all's media production company?
So as far as vision goes, I'll pass that off to Cheif. He's the master plan behind where we're going.
The visionary.
He's the visionary. I just show up.
Just ultimately an entertainment group or company or something like that. Not so much a company because it sounds corporate or whatnot, but we just entertainment. Like the podcast is one of the branches in the under the umbrella that we is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Under the umbrella that we of the stuff we do. It's new for us. We've never done anything like this. Like my brother and I did a movie called Post. It was about a day in the life of a combat veteran who suffered from PTSD, which is myself. He won several short film awards for that. So, and he also has another film he's won awards for too. So, videography, music, we've been doing this stuff our whole life. We've never actually done podcasting. Some to this extent. Like me and him sit around and have these super deep conversations, and it wasn't until maybe 2 years ago to where we were able to have
disagreements, and you can keep the conversation going.
Yeah.
Right.
It's when people like, no, it's my way or the highway. I'm like, why? Well, why does it have to be the highway? Like,
I can't be around people that agree with me all the time.
We're two different. Like, we're all different people. We're all we're all our own individual person.
Yeah.
Like, we're all gonna have our own opinions.
Yeah. You grew up how you grew up. I grew up how I grew up. You see things one way, I see things another way. That doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make me a bad person. I'm more interested in what is different about us than what's similar. You know what I mean? Because I already know our similarities because I've lived it. I want to know, like, it's like going to a new movie you've never seen. Like, well, if I've seen a movie about a man meets a woman, they fall in love, I want to see something different. And I'll pay money to go see that movie. You know what I mean? Well, I mean, pay money, but
yeah, Trent and I, we grew up in the same household, under the same, till like what, 16, 17, how old were we?
What?
Until like when
The
we moved
household
out.
y'all grew in?
Yeah, we grew up. When did you?
We had a whole bunch of houses.
No, I mean like we
Together.
When,
Oh,
when,
we were
did,
together.
when did we like start separating and going our different ways in
About
life?
18, when I was about 18.
Yeah. So, however, we have two totally different life experiences.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm listening to y'all's podcast. I hear it, and I was all like, well, "How does he have that lifestyle?
Right.
He became the way he is."
Yeah. We have
two totally different paths.
Right, exactly.
That's what makes the dynamic great, you know, or, you know, good to build on, because we're not agreeing with each other all the time. Like, yeah, you're right. Actually, you know what? You're right. And that's just like a 5-minute show.
And that dynamic helps us deal with other people too. You expect to be able to just have the same conversations with everybody else in the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, people have different views, and like, if I can respect my own brother, you know, and it took me a while to get there. Like, we butted heads a lot. I was a bit of an a-hole growing up, you know. Like,
A huge bite.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Huge bite of that pickle.
Yeah.
Older brothers can be like that.
Yeah. All the pressure was on me. I always got in trouble. You know what he did? Look, this is off topic completely. But this dude, when we was kids, he'd be like,
Here we go.
He'd be like, hey, watch this. I'm like, what? I'm like, what are you doing? Stop. What are you doing? Dang, you better knock it out. I'm like, dude. He was like, yeah, chill out before I get you in trouble.
He keeps saying that. I don't remember that ever happening, but it does sound legit.
That sounded like a good idea.
It sounded like I probably could have done it, but I don't remember doing it.
Yeah. So what's up? So man, what's up with you, man? I didn't do any research. I'll be honest with you.
Nah, that's fine. Ask away.
Yeah, we came here dry.
I didn't want you on the cool because I wanted to just kind of come in and just see what it was all about. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is all new to us too. Like, we have, you know, a bunch of episodes, we do a bunch of recording and stuff like that, but like, this is still like really new to us. You know what I'm saying? So what, like, how long have you been doing this? You went to UTSA, you know, like, you do it there too, or what?
No. I mean, UTSA, that was just somewhere I went to school, got my degree, but I started podcasting because I feel like there's a strong disconnection between basically our world and the social world, the social media world. And like I was saying earlier, you don't know what shops you have down the street because you got corporate stores just crashing.
You know where Walmart is. Yeah.
You know where Walmart is. You know where HEB is. But there are mom and pop shops starting to pop up. There are not only grocery stores, but barbershops, restaurants, other specialty shops that are popping up. And it's just, people don't know. And I want to get it out there. I want to bring people on here.
That's dope, man.
The problem that I've been facing is that people are like, what is podcast? And since they don't know it, they're afraid of it. And I just try to tell them, I'm like, look, you just come on, you show your best self that you want, just show your true self, and that's all you gotta do. It'll help you more than anything else. It can only help you. I mean, you bring to the table what you want to show to everybody else. You want to just show your business side, show your business side. You want to show your personality, show your personality.
That's one of the things. I mean to interrupt you, but that was one of the things that we had to start when we started having guests. We had to start like figuring out which direction they wanted to go in, because we'll have dudes that are still in the military and they start talking about real controversial stuff, and then after they hear it the next day, they're like, hey man, I think can you take that down, man? I said something about Michelle Obama that you know. So, you know, I feel you on that, man. That's dope. So you're more into like the marketing of like the local like community and like,
well, that, and also just bringing up topics that people generally don't know. I mean, there's local concerns like the Edwards Aquifer. People don't really realize why we have a water restriction. It's because we have an endangered species that specifically lives.
Isn't like a salamander or something like that?
Yes.
Did you know that?
Of course. Everyone knows. Well, I knew about it.
Yeah, but it's just crazy how that crazy little thing has just evolved in the Edwards Aquifer with no eyes, and it's just only there, only in the Edwards Aquifer.
Yeah. Right. That's I mean, you know, it's people. I didn't know anything about podcasting either. Say like 6 months ago, I knew what it was because I used to listen to like Steve Austin and things like that. And I didn't know how easy it was to set up. You know, you gotta. There's a curve though. You know, there's definitely some things you have to look up. Like we're just talking about like mixed minus and stuff like that. So there's definitely work to be done in order to get stable and be able to put something out of quality. So it's not like an easy one day you're not a podcast, the next day you are type thing. It's not just a turnkey type deal, but it's very simple. I mean, once you figure out the basics and you have a way to put it out, it's very simple.
And you don't even need a video part of your podcast. You just need audio.
Exactly.
That's the glory of it.
All 40,
and then the audio part is the freer part, because you can put whatever you want at the beginning or the end of it.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're just hosting on YouTube, you have to bend to YouTube's rules and regulation. Yeah.
So that's why I think that's where and we were talking about this a little before we started. YouTube is being very restrictive on what they're allowing to be put out. There's so many videos I'll watch and I'll go back to watch it a week later and it's been taken down or it's been demonetized, you know. So
just so they don't get money, right?
Call it hate speech. I'm like, come on, man. You know, we can't talk anymore. Like on YouTube, I remember YouTube in its beginning. There were no ads. There was no, you know, skip now. Or,
well, it's just like Instagram. How much sponsored ads do you see now on Instagram on your feed when you're just scrolling up? Sometimes I'm like, oh man, that's a cool. How'd they do that? And then I realize, oh, it's sponsored. It's an ad.
Have you experienced the, like for instance, I've been looking up parts for my gun, right? Just through Google or whatever, right? My Safari on my phone. And then I'll go on Facebook And as I'm scrolling, I'll start seeing advertisements for holsters and advertisements for pieces of this type of gun and pieces, then I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of was. It didn't even click to me that I'm actually like. Have you ever experienced that? Where like,
yeah, that's because the cookies, like websites read off the cookies that you have that you go to these other websites, and so it leaves like, oh, you were looking up gun accessories.
Yeah, that's creepy, right?
So it pops up on your Facebook feed, pops up on your Instagram feed, because that's what Mark Zuckerberg has done to make Facebook successful. Right. Even now, when you go through the videos now, the videos used to be ad free. Right. Now there's a bunch of ads in the videos.
Right, right. I used to only go on Facebook just to watch videos, like before they changed the format recently to where it's more like TV shows. And that's another thing. I know I'm bouncing around here, but I'm really feeling the vibe in here.
Yeah,
it's nice.
Talk about anything.
What is this?
It's Formula One.
Formula One. Yeah, let's talk about Formula One. No, but what was I? I forgot where I was going with that.
Facebook.
You were watching videos and then change the format.
Oh yeah, well I used
TV shows.
Yeah, I used to just that's what I was going to say. Thank you. I have a little bit of brain damage, so these things happen with us. But the videos, I kind of wanted to, one of the things we're experimenting with, primally in Texas.
Nice. See what you did there.
Primal Texan experiment.
Proper word is primarily.
Primal. Primarily primal.
Just saying.
Yeah. So one of the visions we have is along with just doing regular podcasting is doing like video like we're doing now, more of a TV show type, but still with the podcast feel, so that we can just take the audio straight off the video and that's a podcast. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And then, do our guest or whatnot. Our thing is we're not real big on being in front of the camera. Like we're decent at it. Like he's way better at acting than I am. I look way better than he does. So it balances itself out. You know what I'm saying? No, so like
I didn't know that.
So we, like the camera aspect of it is, to me, it's important. As far as like the freedom of talking and all that, that's without that, there's no reason to do the rest of it. So that's like a given to me. But to me, the video part's important because of like our society. It's fast food. They need to see it. There's only so many people that have the patience or the mindset to be able to just sit and listen to people talk, or listen to audiobooks, or listen to radio or news radio or stuff like that. Yes. Everybody else has to scroll. They have to see it. If it doesn't intrigue them in a couple seconds, they just keep going. You know what I'm saying? So that's where we're trying to figure that curve out. Yeah. Like how much do we bend for the audience or not? Like how much do we actually like cater?
Well, you still want to keep your own
that's what I'm saying.
Originality. You want to keep it true to your heart, but also you do want to be true to your fans. But if you start bending to the wishes of your fan, you're not being
organic.
You're not being organic, but also you're just bending your will
feeding the goose. Yeah,
you're feeding the ones that are speaking out. You're not feeding the ones that don't want to speak out, that feel like they shouldn't speak out.
Yeah. So there's definitely an audience for podcasting. Obviously, podcasting is one of the biggest rising media outlets in the last 10 years. But then there are people that refuse to listen to podcasts. So if you want to grow, you can't just stay in that podcast. Well, we can't just stay in that podcasting realm. That's why we want to do video next, and then we want to do short films, and we want to do maybe feature films eventually. But we want to build just who we are. So if people listen to our podcast and say, I kind of like what they have to say, I'm gonna listen to them some more. And then now we make videos. Oh, they got videos now. Let me see what they do. Oh, they're kind of funny. I'm subscribe. I'll watch them. And then we start putting out more things, and it just gets bigger and bigger. And that's like where we want to go with all this.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's the thing about podcasting. You can venture out into so many different branches. I mean, audio, video. I can't think of the word. Videography, yes. And then also doing skits, doing movies. I mean, it all pretty much what you want to do. It's up to you.
How are you behind the camera?
How am I behind the camera?
Pause. I didn't mean to come off sounding weird. But I mean, like, as far as, like, have you done any skit acting or anything like that? Any videos or?
Not video. I mean, I haven't done anything on the camera for acting, but
it's hard, bro. Acting is so hard.
I mean,
it's not.
It's not. I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I haven't.
I did like 2 plays in high school, and I did a fairly good job.
I mean,
as long as you know what to say, it's easy after that.
And then
part.
you just express, like, you try to express with the paragraph, the bit is saying.
No, I get it.
I'm no Denzel, but I acting is kind of easy. If you feel goofy, you're doing something right. You know what I mean? Like we did a skit a little while ago. It was about him and our other younger brother, Travis. He's also part of the Will Boys. He couldn't make it to, or we didn't bring him today. but he was part of that video as well. And it was me walking into our recording room, and I say, "Hey, I got good news." It's like, what? I signed us up for the Space Force. It's like, you did what? And I'm like, yeah, man, it's great. It's gonna. And I'm like losing my mind and everything. Yeah, it's Trump, man. We got to get out of here.
Yeah, it's funny.
It was goofy. I felt goofy, but it worked. You know what I mean? Because the last thing I want, and I learned this with making all of our short films and all of the projects I used to do before. When I watch it later, and I know I could have done better, it pisses me off. Like, man, this is weak. I can't put this out.
If you don't have butterflies doing something, then you don't have true love for it. Because the butterfly feeling is because,
at least in the beginning,
yes, you're worried about it. You're worried about how you're performing. You're worried how it might come out. So the butterflies kind of make you tap into an unknown source that you didn't have. Like, it makes you push the limits where you wouldn't have pushed it before.
Absolutely. I don't know. We got rid of those butterflies years ago because I've been on stage a few times, like talent shows, like dancing and things like that. And I don't like talking about my old dancing, but I remember
he used to cut a rug a little bit.
I'm not bragging, but girls would scream. No, I'm married now. No, so. I remember stepping on stage for the first time, and I was nervous until I heard them start screaming. It all just went away at that point. I was just, this is my stage at this moment, and I'm going to do the thing not me, him, but my group. And we did it, and they loved it, and they were clapping, and I became immediately addicted. So being in front of a camera is not really a big problem for me, or being in front of a big audience or a big crowd, and being an instructor in the Navy was a big deal for me because I got to talk in front of people. So that whole nervousness thing is not a big deal for me anymore. I don't picture people that are naked, just picture everybody in their underwear. Like, no, I don't do that. I just talk, it's just talking at that point. And that's why acting, when we're doing it in the studio room, I felt, because Travis brought somebody with him. He brought a friend with him. And I'm like, it feels goofy. It feels like I'm being silly, but I know it'll work. Yeah. So I'll do it. I'll do it if I know it works. So that's just what
it's helps. Just like, in retrospect, like it comes out looking great and everything. And then like you look back on it. And then what happens is, see, we've been doing skits and short films and stuff since we were kids. So ever since then, once we started learning like how the recording process works,
and the software's gotten a lot more user friendly.
Oh man, it changes how I watch TV or how I watch movies or how I listen to songs. You know how hard it. And then too, I was in the military. Do you know how hard it is for me to watch a movie about the Army or something? Like
probably ridiculously hard.
I'm sitting there like looking. I was like, oh, look, he got his name tape on.
That would never happen.
Yeah,
that's impossible.
Yeah. No.
You know how difficult it was to watch Battleship?
How difficult?
I almost walked out. I was watching it. I was in my living room watching it. I almost walked out of my living room watching it. Like, I was laying on the couch and I got it from a Red Box. And I like, after about an hour, I was so fed up with all the BS that I was saying. I'm like, look, that would never happen. Like, we don't do this. So, that's not how that works. There's not a button that you press on a video camera on the 5-inch on the forecastle of a ship that will shoot that thing. There's no GoPro attached to the cannon. And I'm like, and then there's real quick, like the ship was going, the alien ship shot something, and the ship just screeched somehow in the water. It screeched to a halt.
Oh, it hit the e-brake. Yeah,
it hit the e-brake. It drifted a little bit, and I stood up and I threw my hands up in the air. I was like, I'm about to be done with this movie. Like, so I don't know how it got me so, but this is going off what he was saying.
Yeah, I brought that up because just like it's hard for us military dudes to watch military movies, it's hard for dudes who record and produce and direct films or short films or whatever, even at our level, because we start watching movies, we're like, how do they do that scene? Like, oh, that person was supposed to over here. Oh, they didn't cut that right, because I can, like some people will be going in for a hug.
Continuity was incorrect.
Right, they'll go in for a hug, and then they'll switch to the next scene, and they're now going in for the hug again.
But the right arm's down, left arm's up. Yeah.
So we see stuff like that, and it throws off the whole just enjoyment of watching a movie. I gotta like smoke or something, like smoke a joint or something, just to get out of my head, just to watch, Moana or whatever.
No.
Like, how old are you, bro?
30.
30.
30.
Yeah.
That's that age, 30.
Man. Everything changes.
Make sure you keep track of your T levels.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah,
I don't want to get too personal. You got a family? You got a wife and kid or wife?
No family. I mean, I just my brothers, my dad. I have a girlfriend.
Don't ever get married.
I have a girlfriend.
Keep her your girlfriend.
Don't listen to him.
Don't ever get married.
Well, why is that? What is your advice?
Do you this is another personal question. Feel free to shut me down. It's your show.
No, I will.
Do you love your girlfriend?
Yes.
Don't ever marry her. Don't ever marry her. If you treat her with the most loving you can, do not marry her. No. Look, this is what I say to all the people when I was in the Navy. To the younger, like 20-year-olds that thinking about getting married. I'm like, look, do you love her? I would say something. Do you love her? Yeah. Why do you love her? Well, we've been on and off for like the last whatever years and through all high school. Like, I ain't got nothing to do with being in love with somebody. Said, can she support you the same way you can support her? What do you mean? I'm like, okay, don't get married. You're not ready for marriage. You know what I mean?
I can say she supports me 100%.
That's awesome. Not a lot of people have that. We're brought up in this, and I don't want to get too deep, but we're brought up in this society where the male is the provider, yet at the same time, you have to treat a woman equally, but at the same time, you have to be a gentleman, but at the same time, you can't hold a woman down because of oppression, women's rights, and patriarchy and things like that. It's very confusing, and if you don't have that conversation, not you, but if people don't have that conversation with their partner, it's just going to build up, and one day, bam, it's going to explode, and you're already 6 months, 7 months, 2 years into a marriage before even having those conversations.
I always tell her, like in the beginning of the relationship, I always told her, I was like, if you don't like something or you want something, just tell me.
Yeah.
Like, just straight out, just tell me, because I'm not a mind reader.
Oh my God.
So I'm
glad I'm not the only person.
She tells me what she doesn't like and what she would like. And so I'm like, yes, okay, I'll work on that.
I don't like games. Like, don't drop hints. I will not pick them up. Like, tell me exactly what it is that is either wrong or that you don't like or that you do like. Just tell me.
Yes.
Yeah, like, if you mad at me today, you better tell me today, because it won't count tomorrow. It won't count tomorrow, because there'd be so much stuff going on in my head sometimes, man.
And I'm not talking about my wife.
He's talking about a hypothetical.
I'm talking about hypothetical relationships. All right, I've had a lot of relationships. I've only gotten married once, thankfully, and we're still married, and we're going on 10 years soon. So
congrats.
Appreciate it. Things are, in terms of relationships, we cover a lot of ground today.
We're
all over the page.
I think we've touched every. We did our whole season. Yeah. This is the Will Boys podcast recap. Yeah. Here at the Primal Texan experiment.
Which is perfect, because y'all just ended y'all seasons. One of the few podcasts that I know that has seasons.
Yeah. That's another choice we made. Let's do seasons.
Yeah. What came to that choice?
It gave us an opportunity to take time off of a weekly or two a week schedule, so we can start building up our videos. And on videos on YouTube, if you go to the Will Boys on YouTube, you can see we have, I think, 4 skits up right now. They're all really funny. If you like them, one is like a throwback film noir, black and white type deal. It's really funny. He's all dressed up in like the old school, like, and you hear the saxophone, black and white in here. So she walked in, it's all this cool stuff. But
we wanted to take some time off to allow us, just to reconstruct like what we've got and reevaluate where we're at. Yeah. Because the ideas availability and opportunity is different now at the end of the season than it was in the beginning. At the beginning, we didn't really know how it was going to pan out, if it was going to pan out, which direction we were going to go with it, and all, just how life is. So when we started, we kind of were loose, and as we started going, and we started realizing, okay, it's picking up. We're starting to get a feel for how we're doing it, dealing with the guests, bouncing off of each other, trying to get our chemistry together. Try to get my energy levels up, because he's always like, "Bro, you got." So that's why I'm always drinking energy drinks.
Yeah,
during podcasts.
we've advanced our equipment throughout the season as well to try to get us as great of a sound as we can that is affordable, and I don't want to spend like $10,000 on equipment when I don't have to.
Exactly. For me, like most of this equipment, I mean, I just look at reviews on Amazon. And
oh yeah, we got the same mics, the same arms. You have a better mixer than us, but it's similar.
I got it on sale.
There you go. Hey,
whatever works, man.
We started with a H1, a Zoom H1, I think. The H1, not the H4, the H1.
Wow.
Like I think it was like $100. I bought it like 8 years ago or something. We put it up on a little tripod thing, and we were just standing in front of it, just talking. And our first couple episodes sound horrible.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I did a little post editing on it to make it sound a little bit, take off the denoiser and things like that. But over time, then we got mics. And next thing we got but the mics plugged into a amplifier, and that plugged into the H1. Then we got the sound mix, the soundboard, and then that plugged into the thing, and it was trial and error and things like that. And it's getting better. Next thing is we have to do video. Like we can't just stay at audio, So that was a big deal.
I'm sure y'all done y'all's research on like what's the best video capturing devices. And
well, we use cameras. Like we have a couple webcams. We're working out how we're gonna do our live parts, like through YouTube.
We have a Wi-Fi situation.
It's an internet problem.
Yeah,
He's got a lot of people in his house.
Bits.
No, it is like we probably should do something soon while everybody's gone. But I just got like a lot of people in my house, man. I got 11 kids. Like at any moment, there's at least 6 kids in my house.
You ever thought about? Oh, that's expensive.
Birth control? That stuff is expensive.
25 cents in your local gas station.
Every time?
Local gas station bathroom, 25 cents.
No, what is it? What do they call that? Like, you have whoever provides the internet, they just install like a cable internet landline.
Or like
a dedicated line?
An Ethernet type thing?
Yeah. It's, I forgot what they call it. It's an internet landline, like a phone landline.
Yeah.
Internet landline.
Right.
You just get directly.
A T1 LAN or whatever.
T1 LAN, something like that. Yeah.
We might need to look into that.
It's not cheap.
Yeah.
It's mainly.
I think we just looked into it.
He's our main financer right here too.
Yeah, okay.
It's mainly companies use it, small companies and whatnot. I mean, I don't know how much it costs nowadays. I just remember back in the day, probably about 5-6 years ago, about $1,000 a month.
Yeah, we tested it at his house, and then I took it home and tested it at my house, and it's a lot better. The problem is I got 2 little kids at home as well, and location and things like that. And like my house is not huge, but it's not small at all. You know what I mean? So we're still organizing and coordinating how we're gonna do that, but we have to do it, because video is next.
That's the evolution and where we're going next with the Will Boys podcast.
Yeah, and one of the first things I learned when I started doing video, it took me a couple of episodes. Because I was watching other podcasts, I was like, well, how do they make it look bright enough? But then it's not bright, but it has a dark effect to it. I was like, how do they do that? So again, just researching, doing your homework, and then adding lights. I was amazed how much just setting up 2 lights would do to the lighting. Yeah.
There's all types of stuff you can do, man, and it's very intricate. And here's the thing too, like he was saying, like oldMIXDhead was saying, is that when we were younger, there wasn't a lot of editing software. Using computers and stuff wasn't really a big thing as far as for videographers and people doing skits and short films and whatnot.
You had to have some programs, equipment.
You got to have some equipment, like some actual hardware. Yeah. And, turning knobs and switching all this stuff around. Like our dad, he really opened the door for us to do all that. Like he took us to the TV station in Austin when he was working at cable access, and we did a short film called My Magical Brother. That was our first project we've ever done, and ever since then we kind of had a bug for it. Like we would. Even when it came to recording like songs, we didn't have big studio stuff. What we had was 2 boom boxes. On one boombox, we put a instrumental in it, like I don't know, Outkast, like some old Outkast song, an instrumental, and on the other one we'll put a blank cassette tape in and press record. We got a studio, you know, and the way we did videos was the same way. Like whatever, we did all the editing on the camera as we're filming, you know.
Yeah.
So now with things, you know, growing and everybody has access, and like I said earlier, the age of information. There's so many different ways of doing things that people can get lost in the sauce, just trying to figure out where they stand with it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But, yeah.
Now I gotta ask, since y'all know all this about media equipment, do y'all know what a reel to reel is?
Reel to reel, in terms of a camera.
No, it's an audio recording device. Do you, Chief knows?
Yeah.
You want to explain to your brother what it is?
Well,
I've never worked with that.
Yeah,
it's old school. It's very old school.
Yeah, it's like ancient. Basically like before like the DAT players, man. It's just like you know the.
Oh yeah. I worked with those in the Navy. Matter of fact,
really?
We had reel to reel data. Yeah, I don't think I can say it. Erase that part. Illuminati. Anyway, so we're talking about abortion.
Did y'all want to know an interesting fact about Bexar County?
What's that?
Okay, y'all know how the size of Bexar County is now, right? Back in 1850.
Yes.
Yep. You think it's big considering it encompassed San Antonio and all the little towns in it. Back in 1850, Bexar County was actually larger than most other states.
Really?
It covered all the way from southwest Texas, West Texas, the Panhandle, up through New Mexico, all the way up to Wyoming.
Was like the police force just like screw that?
Well, this was
just break it down a little bit.
This was back when it was
Old Western, right?
Yeah, when it was owned by Mexico. After we got our independence from Mexico.
What year did you say? What year was this?
1850.
1850. Yeah, I was around those times.
Yep.
I believe 1850.
So what you're really saying is that you paid attention in school.
I just read a lot of crap.
Nah, he was interesting.
No, but that's good. I'm not being funny. That's dope, though, bro.
I just read a lot of crap, and it makes more sense to know about where you come from. Just
that's dope.
The area you live in.
Yeah. See, I remember. I remember watching films in school where they talk about like Sam Houston and things like that, and how Santa Ana came over to the Alamo, and David Crockett. David Crockett, and what's that guy with the Bowie? Was it not James Bowie?
George Washington.
What was Bowie?
Carter.
No.
Something Bowie.
Something Bowie. I know he had the Bowie knife.
Yeah.
I think it was James Bowie.
Was it?
Jim Bowie.
Is he the singer, or who's the singer?
David Bowie.
David Bowie. So it was James Bowie, I think. Well, anyway, Bowie.
The Bowie knife.
Yeah. He had the. You were just saying random words.
It's called the Bowie knife, though, right?
It is called the Bowie knife.
Yeah, I was right then.
Well, I said it about 10 seconds before you said it.
But it sounded so much better when I did it.
All right.
The Bowie knife.
Well, I just remember stuff like that. And
James Bowie, you were right.
See?
Lieutenant Colonel William B. Travis.
Yeah.
Colonel James Bowie. I'm sorry. Colonel James Bowie.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, I remember stories about the Alamo and things like that. And it was always interesting about how the thousands of, I think it was like 3,000 or 4,000 Mexican soldiers came to the Alamo, and they only had like 300 people, not including the women and children. I find stuff like that interesting, and
I find that crazy, to be honest. I mean,
yeah, it's absolutely insane that they would do that.
Thousands of Mexican soldiers, and then the only thing protecting you from this massive army
like an 8-foot
is
wall.
it's that.
Some muskets.
A knife.
You gotta want it, baby. You gotta want it. You got 1,000 Mexicans coming at you, man. You gotta want it, baby.
A couple thousand, man. I think it was like 3,000 to 4,000 soldiers. But they got beat at San Jacinto. Yep.
Surprise attack. Surprise attack.
They sure did. Pancho.
I think Santa Ana was
Pancho Villa.
When they got caught, he was there. And he was mixing himself in with his soldiers, and they didn't.
And then when he was walking by his soldiers, they were just saluting him, and the Texas troops were like,
"That's why they don't let us salute." I used to, when we was in Iraq, if there was a captain I didn't like, I would salute the crap out of him. How you doing, sir?
That goes back to Lieutenant Dan and Forrest Gump. Don't salute me. Their snipers love to pick themselves off an officer.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I've got this saluting on purpose.
Yes, sir. Well, not salute you, sir.
How you doing, sir? It's like, Williams, what are you doing?
Well, I don't think we touched on this, but y'all are veterans, both from different branches of the military, Navy, right? Yeah. And then Army.
Mine was better.
That's only because the social climate is very welcoming to gays.
And the
sorry, that's just Army Navy banter. That's
no, I hear it all the time between like these two guys at work. One's a Marine, one's a sailor, and the Marines always giving the sailor crap.
You know what though? I love the Marines because they're the most hoorah people in the entire military force, I believe. I mean, you could be Army and be like, ooh yeah, whatever y'all say. You know, that's cool and all. But Marines are some bad dudes, man. And the women, like they're bad. Oh my God, their uniforms, nice. You know,
the hardcore Marines.
He's just talking about, he's not even talking, and he hasn't even touched on like what they actually do. He's just talking about how they look.
we just go on surface level. If we just go on surface level, the uniforms, man. Oh
no!
I just got what you just said.
Yeah,
right
see, he agrees. He's
no. I mean, I'm just saying, like the Marines are tough people.
They're dope.
You know, I give them absolute props. Now they're not the smartest people. I will say that. I'm saying they have some educated people in there, just like Navy has some educated, but we got some dumbasses too. And every force has a dumbass. You know, a good share of it. But Marines, I think there's some bad dudes, man, for real.
Why didn't you join the Marines then?
Screw that. I ain't one of them. You know,
I can.
You want to stay on the ship,
right?
No, I mean, if I could have done it all over again, and this is not a discredit to the Navy, I would definitely have joined like the Air Force.
Tell them why you didn't join the Army.
I when I thought about joining the military, I had the decision: do I want to be Army, Air Force, whatever. I chose the Navy for a whole bunch of reasons. I wanted to see the world. I wanted to travel and be on ships and ocean. I didn't want to join the Air Force because I didn't want to be behind a desk. I thought that's what it was all about. If you're not a pilot in the Air Force, what good, that's how I thought. I didn't join the Marines because they're too psycho. That's my perception of what Marines were back then. Like they're absolutely crazy, and rightfully so. But I didn't want to join the Army because when I think of the Army, all I think about is dirt and grass and holes and sun. Like screw that. I want to be in the Navy. Give me the uniforms in the Navy used to have are bell bottoms. They weren't called bell bottoms, but they were jean pants with wider leg boot, so I was like, man, my uniforms are like jeans. I'm joining the Navy. Like give me that Navy stuff, man. But that was done away with before I joined.
I joined the Army mainly just to not go to jail for child support. But the reason why I chose that branch, I actually went to the Marines first. I didn't pass the psych eval. I wasn't smart enough for the Air Force. I'm not going to the Navy. So
Navy didn't want you. Just be real.
I didn't even try, man. But I felt like at that time I was going through a lot of stuff. I was coming out of living the streets and street life and doing certain things, and I just need something different. And at the time, one of my best friends, my brother, died, and it kind of pushed me in a place to where I wanted to die honorably for my family because I didn't see myself living very long. Like a lot of my friends were dying, and there's it was just one of those times, man. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna join the military and go to Iraq and die, and my family will be proud of me. I had, I didn't know what God had in store for me. I didn't know I was going to survive it. If I knew I was going to live through Iraq, I would have probably dealt with it different. I really lived over there like I was freaking dead. So anyway, that's a long story. But I joined the Army because it seemed more fun, man. It seemed like, honestly, I wanted to get my ass kicked. But I wanted to get my ass kicked.
Yeah, I remember you said in one of your podcasts that you watched all the crazy videos that you could watch before you enlisted.
That's what I was, and that goes back to YouTube because that's when YouTube just started. This was like 2004, around that time. When did I go to the military?
I joined in 2004.
Okay, no, I joined in 2007. So around, from when he joined to when I joined, I'd be watching all types of stuff. But literally a couple months before I joined, I was watching beheading videos. I was watching Saddam get hung. I was watching ambushes. I was watching IEDs blow up. I was watching snipers. And the whole time I'm sitting there, and mind you, I'm fresh out the street, and I'm like, you niggas ain't tough. That's what I literally told myself, and I was like, I'll go over there and kick all their ass right now. And I got in the military so I can get my ass kicked because I just felt like I needed to get punched in the face. I've never been really just, you ever seen a movie when a dude is like, I don't know, he does something to somebody and they punch him, he stands up and he's like, do it again. Then he punches him, he stands up and he's like halfway crying, do it again. Yeah, that's what I wanted. I wanted like the Full Metal Jacket, Gunny yelling at me, shut up, you ain't nothing.
Tell yourself.
Yeah. I wanted to like earn myself. I wanted to make my family proud by getting beat up by America. And I went, and it was like, it was kind of like, as far as like the training and all that stuff, because that stuff was tight. But as far as how they dealt with us, we were in the new army. We were in the army where it was more sensitive. Soldiers were complaining more. The suicide rate was up. So they had to like withdraw. The drill sergeants had to withdraw themselves from how they dealt with the soldiers.
Same thing with us when I was in boot camp.
Yeah. So now, from what I understand, is that they have these, what are they called?
Stress cards.
Stress cards.
Really?
Yeah. So like, say everybody's lined up and the drill sergeant's coming down the line. You messed up. You can this and this. First of all, they can't put their hands on you no more. So there's none of that. Get over here and get down and up and do push-up. There's none of that no more. They can't touch you. They can't really get in your face no more. They can't do all this stuff. Mm-hmm. So, and then they have these stress cards. So say you're in formation and the drill sergeant's getting on you real tough. You can be like, stress card, I need 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's like 15-minute break.
Yeah, then you get to go off to the side and pout a little bit, probably make a post or something. So that's where I came in when it was transitioning to that. Mm-hmm. And the drill sergeants were like, they're like, man, look, we can't do nothing. So they used me. They used me to be like, I was the platoon guide, so I was in charge of all the soldiers when the drill sergeants weren't around. So the drill sergeants would use me to like dig into everybody because I had a lot of hurt in me, a lot of pain, and I needed to get.
You were looking for an outlet, and that was your outlet.
I needed an outlet, but the way they did it, they really helped me curve that and use it constructively, at least constructively for them, because everything they taught me didn't transfer over into the real world, but it transferred into military life on how to be a good leader, how to be a good soldier, how to be a good killer, how to be a good. Not all of it was just killing. Like the motto that they had for us was winning the hearts and minds of the people or something like that. And so we had to be good, we had to be able to talk to people when we go to different villages and other countries and stuff like that. But he was right about the dirt and the sand and the heat, because that's all that was out there the whole time. The whole time.
You ever run into those giant spiders?
Oh, camel spiders?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We used to put camel spiders and scorpions in the sink and make them fight each other.
How'd that go? Scorpions
always won. They always underestimate the tail, man. That tail just they be looking at the pinchers. They be right here with it.
Meanwhile, I was pulling into Hong Kong and checking out the local activity there. And then we pull into Singapore, and then we pull into Saipan and go on the beach. And
so you had a little tour of Southeast Asia? Yeah, pretty much?
I was stationed in Japan my first tour, and that was pretty interesting.
I hear just living in Japan. How long did you be?
I was stationed there for 2 years, and then my ship moved from San Diego. We changed our home port from Japan to San Diego.
It's a very honorary culture that they have. They're
very westernized, and I haven't been there since 2007.
A bomb will do that to your country. They'll take that Shogun right up out of you.
Nicest people I've ever met. I told the story on our podcast. When I was in Japan, I was at a train station, and everything's in kanji. Some things are in English, but depending on what train station you go. So I'm trying to find
kanji's the symbols, right? For their language.
Yeah, what we would consider symbols, that's letters for them. Right. So it was like, it's not like K, like what we see as an alphabet. It's the like different type of lettering. So I didn't know how to get home. So I was looking at this board that has all the train stations and things. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Old man walks up to me and he says, something. And I'm like, I'm trying to go to Yokosuka, because that's where I was stationed, Yokosuka. He said, pays for my ticket, takes me on the train, takes me to Yokosuka station, says goodbye, and then he goes on about his way.
Wow,
that's dope.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
like that. So Japanese, the people that were there that I came in contact with were generally most of the time nice, and every now and then, Japanese love like they can drink, they can throw some back, So when you got that old drunk man in the street, you got that old man in the street, he don't care, right? Yeah. And it was always a weird thought because I'm not an idiot. I know we had conflict in like World War II. You know what I mean? So the older people were affected by that type of stuff. Watch out.
That's funny because even in Iraq, I had similar cases like where not everybody over there was terrorists, man.
Yeah, I know.
They were just born there.
Yeah, they're people.
They're just born there. Just like people talk about the east side or the west side or the south side, like the more hood, more ghetto neighborhoods. People are just born where they're born. You know what I'm saying? And then, obviously when they get older, they can make a decision. But, what do you think is going to happen if that's all you know, if that's all you hear every day, all day? And then it goes on from there. But anyway, we're in Iraq, and I remember when I first got there, and I've said this on our podcast plenty of times, but when we first got there, man, I remember the airplane door opening and just that dry desert heat hitting you, and you're like, man, let's just blow this place up and go home. You know what I'm saying?
Just get it over.
It's January. We can be home by February if we get out there quick. But then once you actually get out there and you start driving around, you go to the villages. What you'll learn is that they're just people. Yeah. And then there's a lot of kids, man. There's a lot of kids, and all the kids want is they want a football. They want something they can play with pencils. Just stuff everyday kids ask for. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And not just that, but you'll start going and when you have to walk through the villages, you have to go up to certain doors because you're asking certain questions about certain things. And every single house we went to, except for the ones that shot at us, gave us tea.
That's awesome.
They would make tea. They would make us food. Whatever little bit they would have, they would make it, and they'd give it to us. Now, mind you, the food over there was delicious, but you can crap through a screen door without ever hitting the screen door afterwards. We were always in the medic's office getting those diarrhea pills. Like, they're constantly giving us these pills for stomach viruses because when we go out, we got to talk to the locals. Yeah. And they always offer us whatever they have. It's our food. Here's some moon and bread. It's bread and cheese. So they give us some bread and cheese, or they give us whatever they had. They had to give it to us. Mostly goats. They would slaughter. Yeah. They would take a goat, slaughter it in front of us, take out all the little pieces and barbecue it right in front of us, like right there, bam. So in other cultures, there's just like they say in the down south, is hospitality. They have hospitality all over the world, man. It's just really cool to be able to experience that stuff, especially in a place like Iraq where they, we're at war. Now, I was joking about the Japan thing, but I mean, think about it. Like I've talked about this before. We're in Japan. You can go to Japan right now and walk around freely, but that's because they got blown up and they went to war with them. Same thing with Saudi Arabia. You couldn't go to Saudi Arabia, 30 years ago, 20, 30 years ago, without some kind of something, right? Mm-hmm. But now they got Sex and the City 2 was filmed there, some years ago with all white girls, you know what I'm saying? Just walking around with their hair all out, looking all American. But that's because we went over there and beat them up. Like, that's every country that was super oppressive towards us or super oppressive towards our own people, that we went over there and established something. Now we're allowed to go over there. Before it wasn't like that, Even can we go to China?
Yeah, you can go to China.
Yeah. That's where the Olympics was in.
About the only place in
2004, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
one of those.
So it's like that, man. But I really dig learning other cultures. He always brings up how much fun he had when I was in Iraq. But I had some good times.
That was great. No,
no, you didn't have any.
So what's funny is he joined in 2007, right? Right. So I joined in 2004, and I've been to Japan, Okinawa, like I say, Hong Kong, Saipan, Guatemala, all these different places, right? He's been in for less than a year, and he gets sent to Afghanistan.
I was in Iraq. I went to Iraq a month after I got to the Army. After basic training,
they just sent you straight over there.
Right. After basic training, you go to advanced individual training, and then they give you 2 weeks to come home and work at a recruiter station. It's how they give you leave, right? So I came home went to Fort Hood in Killeen. 2 weeks later, went to Fort Hood, and a month after that, I was in Iraq. Like, didn't even have time to unpack. Like
rat duty, right? You're talking about recruiting.
Yeah. So, you know, and like I got there quick, man, like real quick. Like, and here's the thing, I didn't even think about the war or going to Iraq until like maybe a week before I graduated out of basic training. Like, you know, some commander came in there and was like, "You should all be very proud of yourselves. You signed up during a time of war. You look to the man to your left, the man to your right. One of those men won't be here next year.
Wow.
Be grateful. We thank you. You should." I was like,
did at that moment everybody look at you?
No. I was looking at everybody else. I was like, wait, we're at war? I was so in the street. I had no, look, I knew 9/11 happened because I woke up the morning of 9/11, smoked a blunt. I was at the studio and I see a plane, one of the Twin Towers was on fire, and then I'm smoking a blunt. My mom brings me a shirt because I had child support court that day, and then another tower gets blown up. I'm like, yo, so I remember all of that, but like, I'm going to Iraq. I wasn't tripping though, man. Like, it was cool. Like, I met a lot of good dudes. You know, I didn't go to college, so being in barracks was my college dorm room experience. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, the classes that they taught us in the military, all that stuff was, you know, as close as I got to being in college. But
I went to college. I spent 7 years trying to figure out what I wanted to do. In the last 2 years, I figured out I wanted to do geology. So
yeah. So how does that? It's got to come in hand somewhere, man.
I mean, geology. One of the main things I like about geology is because it incorporates all the sciences, even math. So I had to learn a little bit of biology, a little bit of chemistry, a little bit of physics. So I had to learn everything. With that, you had to learn different ways. You had to learn chemistry one way. You had to learn biology a different way, organic chemistry a different way, physics a different way, because it's all different disciplines.
That is kind of a parallel to what you're doing now. I mean, you know, you got to learn YouTube, you got to learn video, webcam,
audio.
You got to learn political science.
Yeah, you got to know how to debate. You got to know how to talk. Like that, people don't understand. Speech is not a given talent.
No, it's hard.
Like either you can do it or you have to learn how to do it and things like that. And you know, speaking in front of people and having valid points and being energetic and this and that, keeping people's attention and staying on point. Like those are all things that a good speaker knows how to do naturally or not naturally or taught, you know what I mean? Like charismatic, you know what I mean? To keep an audience attention, when to talk about this, when not to, what questions to ask, so it kind of parallels like we were saying with geology. So
I guess where this kind of comes from, learning how to do the audio and all that, the video, is my father was like, he showed me reel to reel, like he showed me that. And then he was really big into vinyl records. So he would fix and repair vinyl records all the time. And then he would develop his own photographs from the chemicals, like old school.
Red light.
Yeah. And he did all that. And like, I'm just watching and observing him as a little kid. Like, when I'm a little kid, you don't necessarily understand like the fundamentals of everything, but you see it and like you grasp a little bit of that knowledge. You know
what's more important to me than learning a subject is learning how to learn. And a lot of people don't have that, man. Like, just like you said, like your geology it has nothing to do with your actual passions, but what I'm seeing is that it's taught you how to approach things differently, and you're learning. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's one of my beefs with school is that not all schools teach you how to think. They just teach you how to say what they told you.
Exactly.
And that's one of my beefs with the American school system, is because the American school system, to me, is set up to teach you how to be American, not how to be a human. Not how to be an individual or a thinking person. They're teaching you how to get up every morning, be your ass somewhere on time. When it's over, you know, just a schedule. You have the same work schedule as you do when you grow up as a kid. That's on purpose. You know what I'm saying? So it teaches you how to regurgitate and stay in line, be on schedule. Repetitive. Right.
I think college used to be where it used to be valued to use your brain and think outside the box. It wasn't so cookie cutter in college, but nowadays
that caused a problem.
See, and that's one of the things. Like, The high school I went to a magnet school, so I didn't go to the typical high school. I went to like a very heavy science and math based high school. It was a school program within a regular high school.
I got you.
I went to the John Jay Science Academy.
John Jay. All right.
Yeah. Most people don't believe that, but yeah, I went there, and what that really prepared me for, I think it over prepared me. Just for me. I'm not saying everybody else, it over prepared everybody else, but mainly for me. But when I got to college, that first time registering, like the system, like you go from 9 to 4, basically high school. Right. And I was thinking the same thing. Like they told me a lot about college, but they didn't tell you about the registration process. Right. And when I got there, I registered late, like really late, and the guidance counselor advisor was just like, well, these are the only classes available. You're going to have to take them. I had 8 o'clock a.m. class, and then my next class wasn't until like 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
That stinks.
Yeah.
So it was like,
because in between, there's not enough time to really
go home,
and
come back, do anything, useful.
And it's your first semester, and you don't really know the campus. You really don't know anybody. Maybe some high school friends that decided to come to high school, decided to come to the same school with you. But other than that, the first semester was very rough. Because either I went to that 8 o'clock class or I didn't. Because it's at 8 o'clock in the morning. Why am I going to go to just that one class and then just chill for the rest of the day when I could just be at home and chill?
Right.
It took me a number of years to like, all right, I need to study. I need to actually put time into reading the material. Right. And that's what ultimately college taught me. It was just, you're able to learn whatever you want as long as you put in the effort to learn it.
Yeah, college. What I think because we went to SAC for a semester or two, you know, and what I learned was they don't care if you show up or not. Yeah, they don't need you to show up. They already got your money, you know, and that's the big difference of high school and college. You know, either you do show up and you listen to what they have to say and apply whatever they're saying to whatever assignments they have you do, or you don't, which is fine. They don't care, you know, like you're an adult at that point. And I mean, that's how it used to be. You know, you watch these colleges nowadays and they got the cry closets and all that stuff. And it's very sad that our feelings are interfering in our education. I
kind of like the colleges that allow their professors to record their own lectures and the professors that actually like to do that, because not everybody wants to go to class. Not everyone needs to go to that class. I mean, I'd be fine just watching a professor lecture on YouTube.
That's where it's going. I guarantee you within the next 50 years, colleges are not going to be the same format that they're at right now.
And to be honest, there's some college professors, they have a way of connecting their knowledge to just general people, just get into that broad level of explaining how something works. Yeah. And not every professor can do that. And I feel like professors need to start recording themselves because otherwise that's a knowledge that's just lost.
Yeah. The web, what are they called? Not web chats, but where they just
web seminars.
Web seminars, yeah. That's definitely the forum that was created for that purpose. You know, they have them for all types, not even just college, like podcasters or how to do this, how to quilt, whatever. You know, they have all those forums for that same thing. And if colleges were to jump behind that and set up and I'm sure they have, because there is online school, you know what I mean? That's been a thing for years now. Right. So I think if more colleges jumped on that, they'd have a lot more admissions, a lot more educated people, you know? So I think that'd be just benefit for everybody. So I don't have to leave my house to get a college degree. Like, cool.
Right. But on a more serious note, guys, I have to go pee.
Oh, we can wrap it up right now, and then because we're just over 2 hours, so we can just wrap it up.
2 hours.
That's the beauty of podcasting. When you're having fun, time just flies. So you want to give any plugins?
Oh, absolutely. Everybody watching this or listening to this, if you would like to follow the Will Boys, you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, or iTunes, Facebook, all under the Will Boys. If you want to want to email us, you can email us at willboyspodcast@gmail.com. All of our season 1 episodes can be found on iTunes, and you can go to our own website, which is thewillboys.com. Has all of our videos, all of our podcasts, has photos from Instagram. All that stuff is posted on there. And if you would like to be a guest on our shows in the future, there's an area where you can sign up all that, and we can get you situated on our show.
Yeah.
I normally do the outro for our podcast, so that's just like it just comes out.
It's just already programmed.
It's already in there. I just had to dive back. It's been about 3-4 weeks since our last one. Yeah, just had to pull that one out of the hat.
Thanks for coming on, guys.
Appreciate you having us on, man.
Appreciate you having us on, brother.
Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Again, you can reach out to my Twitter account, just Gregory B. Ruiz, or my Instagram account, Big Curly PTX, and just reach out if you want to reach out. Comment, rate, subscribe, do whatever. If you want to request coming on, I'll consider it. It all depends on what you bring to the table.
Get your stickers now.
Primal Texan experiment. The Primal Texan experiment.
Limited.
Yo, we got to get him on.
Act now. Yeah. How much are they? How much you selling these for?
I give them away.
What's wrong with you, man?
What?
You got to sell these.
He gives them away, but I got
I'll sell them to
these are $1 each. No, I'm joking.
I sell t-shirts.
You go to the willboys.com. We'll sell these. No,
no, we got to get you on the Will Boys podcast, man.
For sure.
Possibly some skits, man. See if you want to get on and do something.
I'm down.
You know, we can get you some. You know, we'll work with your comfort level. You know what I'm saying? If you're more,
throw me out there. Throw me in the deep end.
Let's reach out to some more San Antonio podcasts and start our own little ring.
For sure.
I got a couple dudes that do. I know a couple dudes who do podcasts.
Perfect.
So do that.
Awesome.
All right, man.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Be nice to one another. Take care. Bye.
Hey.
Out my ear.
Sorry.